We need walkers. We need makers. We need people that make things happen. Translators, editors, publishers, writers. These are the people that actually make the things happening. You know, a book is an enterprise. You feel exhausted after having written a book, and a translator is doing the same. So I think we should, you know, think less and act more, and we let the vision for the millionaires that want to conquer Mars, even though they have a beautiful planet here. And I think these ideas, you know, don't belong to the solar punk. The solar punk is here and now. How we can, you know, affect the next generation. Let's think about in terms of seventh generation. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, you see, en fait, Francesco is not a prophet, he's a bishop of solar activism. He speaks very well about it, and we want all to be a part of it.
Yeah, but with all like the real prophets, you know, the message was lost.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say about oh, sorry, I'm tired. About end of the world stories and all that. To me, it's all about survival.
Mm.
It's all about being a kind of Robinson Crusoe. I don't know how to pronounce it in English. Sorry, on this island and finding all the little bits and things that you need in destroyed cities. That's what that kind of literature is about. And the way I would see Solarpunk is that it's not about survival, it's about life. We don't want to survive in the world that we are in. We want survival is exhausting and boring, and it kills you. But nobody wants that for an horizon.
Well, since the question was about activism, I think that this is a nice way perhaps to conclude by asking each of you, what are your next actions with respect to Solarpunk or solar activism or solar artivism? And perhaps what are your next, are you working on anything in terms of writing that could be called Solarpunk? Did everybody hear me?
Yeah. Okay, I will. Yes, I'm in the process of having also a series of comics. Some stories would be Solarpunk. So one way or another, sooner or later, I will come up also with an anthology of short stories in the form of comics. And next year, I will publish an anthology of Solarpunk stories in English. So finally, I will make the step of publishing directly in English. I think it's about time that future fiction, you know, gets into another market, and so that would be my contribution to the global conversation. So it will be just women stories of Solarpunk.
Well, actually, the book I'm writing at the moment, the one I'm supposed to have finished some years ago, it has aliens, teenage activists who try to save birds on this planet. And so that's one of that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm supposed to finish it one day. Who knows?
Well, I spent 3 last years to study utopias for a huge research I was writing, and I think I would try to write my first Solarpunk short stories for Francesco.
You got a publisher.
Wait to read it before.
Yes, yes, okay.
Most simply, I teach when I can teach to my student, or we try to embrace complexity and still reject nothing, and most of all, no technology. Perhaps I have a little use for the future.
I have to add something that I forgot. Sorry, because in 2-3 months I will publish 2 Solarpunk books. They are in Italian, but the things are very interesting because one is an essay, and it's called Solarpunk Aesthetics and Design by Eric Anting, and so it deals about the architecture, the philosophy, the aesthetics, and also the design of it. And the other one is the first collection of Andrew Dana Hudson, which is a very, very good writer of short stories. I personally have to say that I had the same feeling of, let's say, something is happening here when I read these stories as the feeling I had when I read William Gibson for Cyberpunk. So maybe, it's me, I'm talking as, personally, personal opinion, but Andrew Dana Hudson is to Solarpunk what William Gibson was for Cyberpunk. So is for Cyberpunk.
The article in the first Solarpunk anthology was very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Indeed.
that was really interesting writing. Yes.
Yes. So when I started to read these stories, I immediately talked to him. Said, I really want to have these stories to be published in an anthology because there is a huge potential there. So Andrew is a very, very good writer.
And we should ask the same question to Jean-Louis.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, that catches me unprepared because I didn't think of I didn't think
Improvise.
Yes, I always have a lot of stories on the go. And actually, over the last few weeks, months, I've been writing a series of stories for various competitions or magazines or anthologies that were interested, let us say, in eco-fictions, broadly speaking. So far, the feedback has not been great, but on the other hand, stories that are written to deadlines are not always the best version of the possible story. So I intend to probably pick up on some of the ideas I explored in those stories and refashion them into something that's hopefully better and will eventually get published. They were at the very least, all of these stories were interesting thought experiments, and now I will probably rewrite at least a couple of them for future use. We're almost out of time.
Other questions?
I did try and go to the YouTube channel. Didn't see any questions. I don't know if there were anywhere else where. Okay, so yeah. So I'm being told there were no questions.
Okay.
And my closing statement actually consisted in noting that in 2018, Elvia Wilk asserted that indulging in dystopia may now be a luxury. Indeed, I think that what Solarpunk is all about, and this will be my closing statement, and you can kind of go on with that, is all about saying that what we need is a future for ourselves, not for the corporations, not for the scientists, but something for all of us in the broadest possible sense of that word. And I think that's a lot of what Solarpunk is doing, is trying to kind of imagine that. So I also kind of see Solarpunk, and I think that this on this point, Francesco will agree with me as a way to complement the rest of science fiction. It's about exploring a probability, a possible branch of science fiction. It can have a political role, a philosophical role for many of us. And we see, as I was talking about these various contests or writing competitions or theme magazines, we do see interest outside the field of science fiction. And that is something that I find kind of interesting, because you don't see that necessarily for many other subgenres outside of climate fiction, which is, of course, at the other end.
Yep.
So that was my kind of quick final statement. How about the rest of you?
It's perfect for me.
Yeah, it's,
Yes, I think. Yep.
I'll go with that. No
So go.
problem.
I don't know if we missed 5 minutes and we have to, fill that time, or I don't know.
Yeah, we apparently we're offline for 5 minutes, I'm told. I have had no instructions about catching up or adding 5 minutes,
Okay.
or at least I did not understand them.
It was a pleasure to talk to you and to talk to Francesco, because we've exchanged mails, but we never talked.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
That's nice.
Yes. Very, very good to meet you. Okay.
So,
I'll
Okay.
just,
okay. They're going to, it's 10. Are they going to make us vanish, or do we?
I think someone is closing us somewhere in the organization on East Fiction.
Actually, I'm told we actually have 5 more minutes now.
Oh.
If you want.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
So
Right.
perhaps we should give a book to people who listen to us, a book which is a model, an example of perfect solarpunk. Francesco or Sylvie, what sort of novel you should?
Well, I can say personally, I've written a kind of big book like this. It's a novel, but it's in Italian at the moment, and is looking for a publisher in English. But of course, I would, as I said, read the stories of Andrew Dana Hudson. He writes in English. He's a U.S. Writer, and I think he would be a very good example of a contemporary solarpunk writer. So my kudos to him.
I'm currently reading The Oval by Elvia Wilk, but I'm only kind of just started on reading the book. It is intriguing and kind of very, very, very up to date and modern so far, from what I can see. So it does seem to be a very kind of contemporary take on all of the movements associated with solarpunk, or at least some of the movements associated with solarpunk. So perhaps one thing I'm going to recommend is the book that does not exist yet, a French anthology of solarpunk.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be great.
that would be nice. Yes.
Yes, Sylvie, you
I
are.
don't know. I don't know if Kim Stanley Robinson counts as a solarpunk writer. Sort of. Because in the last book I translated, that there are co-ops.
The Ministry of the Future?
Sorry?
The Ministry of the Future?
No, the one about New York.
Okay.
Okay. New York.
2240?
Yes, that's it. So people, New York is flooded. And the people in the skyscrapers have formed cooperatives to run them, communities, and they run and they have farms on top of the skyscrapers. So there is there is survival, but it's not just survival, because there is a culture. that people are doing stuff and they organize and they do things. They have there are new kinds of musics, and there is an underground in the underground, because they have managed to make sort of discos, bars, and things where people have concerts and fight. They have what a kind of water sumo or something like this. It's really it's optimistic without being soppy, or with it's not naive. It is something people think optimism is, and it is not necessarily. You can be optimistic and see the world as it is.
So Hugo, I think the last word will belong to you.
Well,
Suggestions?
I am better to suggest than to answer. So I would say just that if we have an anthology of Solarpunk in France, Sylvie Denis has to direct it.
Yes, the problem is that I've got a novel I must finish, and I'm translating at the moment. So
yeah, we have time, 1 year to join
yes.
the stories. No, thank you very much. And no, I was very, very happy. It was my first panel as a writer in English with you all, and that was very nice for me. Thank you.
So I will now thank everybody for attending and exploring these ideas with us. And to all of you in Europe, I wish you a good night.
Bye-bye.
And a good day to you. Thank you very
Bye.
much, Jean-Louis.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ended there, I think.
Cette table ronde vient de se terminer, mais le festival continue tout le week-end. Le programme complet est disponible sur nice-fiction.fr. Les stands vous attendent sur notre serveur Discord. Pensez également à visiter nos expositions 3D et n'hésitez pas à intervenir dans le chat des conférences et tables rondes si vous avez des questions.